Hey, greetings all, it's Paul from the Techno Bunk Boy here, and today on Dragonlance for 5th edition, we're going to go into the second module, Dragons of Flame, and we're going to deal with burning, destroyed Solace, and a much better way to run this particular module. Okay, so here we go. We have finished the first original module of the Dragonlance series. If you are playing from the original first edition copies, if this is your first time joining us, we've actually gone through all of that, gone through Zaxxaroth, and talked a lot about if you are playing this game with 5th edition characters, you know, how to go about that and all that. I'm going to put the playlist up here for you, but make sure you subscribe, ring that bell to be notified of these videos. And as a little bit of warning before we get into things, this is a video that just kind of gives you ideas on how to run the Dragonlance modules. Give you some pointers along the way if you are playing in 5th edition, some changes that we can make to make things easier on you. And so if you are a player who has not run this game before, there will definitely be spoilers, but let your DM know that I'm here, and that way, if your DM does want some ideas for along the way, I'm be more than happy to provide those for you. So, at the end of Module 1, basically the last thing we that happens when we get out of Zaxxaroth is that we find out that Solace is burning. We can see the Valen trees up in flames in the distance, and we're gonna have to figure out what's going on. And so this module is a problem. And so before we get to it, we're going to be talking about the beginning, the first couple of chapters of Dragons of Flames. This is the second module in the original series for 1st edition. The first 4 were collected in 2nd edition. That and in either version you can get on Drive-Thru RPG. You can also get the 3rd edition version that was, I believe, made by Margaret Weis's company, called Dragons of Autumn. And for the whole first module, we were really basing everything on the original copies, and I'm still doing that, but I'm going to start using the 3rd edition versions much more, because especially through Dragons of Flame, this edition has some really great stuff, some really good fixes that we're going to find very helpful. And so if you haven't gotten a copy of anything yet, or if you just want to get the 3rd edition version, the Dragons of Autumn, as a comparison, I very much encourage it. It has been a really great help for me. It's a bit pricier, and you can definitely run things based on the originals if you'd like, but that is totally up to you. So I had heard about Dragonlance in general, that it is railroady, and I warned my players of this, and honestly, through the whole first part into Zaxxaroth, I didn't feel like it was. I felt like there was a lot of options available for the players. Then we got to this one, and now I know what they're talking about. My goodness. If the players go on the intended route, then this module feels good. If they don't, then it feels like the game is forcing you down a certain corridor that you might not want to go down. I think we can do better. So, The first thing is that there's a chapter, and it is a short chapter, but there's a chapter in there about what is happening with the planes. DMs, you're going to have to get a feel for your players on this, because do the players just want to just keep whooping up on some Draconians? If so, let's roll some random encounters out here in the wilderness. I personally think they'd probably be just like sick of this by now. I think they'd much rather have a different, a different approach. And so what I tried to do was really just kind of skip all of this and just kind of with the blanket statement of the plains are empty now. The people that are dead. The Draconians that are dead. Everybody else is gone. They're off down south to Pax Larkus, and there's no one left. Now, if you remember, in my game, we're not playing the traditional companions of the Lance, right? We are playing original characters. And in much of the first adventure, Gold's Moon and Riverwind were helping them, but now Gold Moon has been greatly injured, and she was left behind. So we're going to drop Gold Moon off, and we're going to leave the discs of Mishkal with her. That's the way I did it. Now, that's going to force you to change some stuff down the road. And so you need to be ready for that. That is going to bring about more work in the long run, but I like the idea of Gold Moon is now like spreading the news on her own. In that way, some people can come in that have been influenced by that. She is making clerics where she is, and doing that sort of thing. You can kind of have her read things over and then give you the disc, especially if you do have like a cleric in the party. That might be wise, and that way when later modules, and this will happen, later modules say, hey, you should give the disc to so-and-so, and this person's now going to become a cleric, then you'll actually have the disc. If you don't do that, like I didn't, you're gonna have to like modify things along the way, but we can do that. And so that's kind of the path I chose, but that's up to you. So the only thing we did in the plains was drop them off. And besides which, you need a place to stay. I mean, it is a 2-day journey, so you do need a place to stay along the way. And so that might be the best course. But I want to get back to the plot. I want to get back to the action here. In the plains, there's not really any action going on except just fighting, which that's not my party's thing. It's not my thing. We love fighting, but we want fighting to advance the plot and not just be, just random encounters over and over again, especially the same enemies. And that is one of the things that this game in the first couple modules struggle with, is there's so many Draconians. And so you've just come out of Zaxxaroth. The question we've got to ask is, do our players want to fight more Draconians, because that's what's here, or do they want to fight something different? And so let us get over to Solace. Now, there's one thing that the 3rd edition version does really, really well, is it actually lets you know what's going on in all of the towns in this area, and not just Solace. Now, I really like that. I wouldn't put much time into it, because how much time are your players going to really spend in this area? There's nothing to do. The whole point is we need to get down south to figure out what's going on, and so they can wander around a bit, but they're just they're learning interesting characters and interesting people that can be incorporated in later. But I personally would not spend a lot of time prepping other towns. I don't think your characters are going to go there. This is the other thing that I noticed in my game, and as it was happening, I was really having to change things on the fly. The first and second edition version just assumes that your players are going to go into the inn at the last home. And the third edition game does too. It actually says in there, if your players go to the inn at the last home, this is what happens. And they probably will do so. And that they don't actually give an alternative for if they don't. My players didn't. And I started thinking about it, and it's like, okay, so if you're playing the heroes of the, I mean, if you, the traditional heroes from the book, they are from Solace, and so they might have the motivation to run up there. Let's make sure that our friends are okay, and so this whole event in this town is supposed to be happening in the inn. But if their original characters are not from the town, why would they go there? I don't necessarily think they would. I don't think that you can assume that they will. So you as the DM are going to have to figure out, first of all, if you want the scene in the inn, then you need to create a sufficient motivation for your characters to go there. A scream, noticing, somebody up there that you recognize. And then the Draconians are also kind of milling around. Can we sneak up there? I don't know. I went the other way, and I just made it so they didn't have to go up there. And so a lot of what I did was on the fly, but I think as a DM that it might be wise for you to kind of keep these options in mind and ready to go if you need them. So kind of the way I look at it is, if they go up to the inn, then Gilthanis is up there, and the events from the book more or less happen. We're going to get back to that because there's some problems. The other thing that could happen is I put a bunch of elfish prisoners at the base of the hill to kind of direct the party in a certain direction. And if they go that way, then Gilthanis is not in the inn. He's elsewhere. The problem I have with this whole thing is that the game wants your players to go into the inn, and then they want them to be captured. And it even says if you win the fight, then there's like just a ton more Draconians that come after you. And you start, and it's just waves of hundreds of Draconians until you finally fall. That way they can get you in the caravan so that you can have this very, very cool, memorable fight out on the road in these caravans. But my question is, why do they have to, if they can be in that fight and not be prisoners? Okay? And this is actually the path that my players went, and I like it a lot more. They can be captured. And if they go up in the inn, I would make the fight there very difficult. Not like deadly difficulty, but like this was going to be a knockdown drag out. And if they get away, then they're going to find out that a lot of those elves that were at the bottom have already been fed into the caravan, and Gilthanis is going to say, okay, all right, let's kind of come with me. I have an idea. I have some other friends in this area. We can lay ambush to them. The other path is if they take their cues from the elf prisoners, then they can be clued into the fact that their leader Gilthanis is not with them and is missing and is maybe safe, and there's a large contingent of elves down south, and maybe he reached them, and the players might just leave to go try to meet up with the elves. in that case, Gilthanas will find them on the way and let them know it's like, hey, they're transporting these prisoners. We can lay an ambush for them, and if you want to help us, and you're going to have your caravan fight anyways. If your players get captured, then they're going to be in the caravan as prisoners, and you can run the battle as described in the book. But if they escape, then they actually get for not being captured, the reward is they get to help plan the battle. And so they have a tactical advantage, and that way, the game is opened up a little bit. It's not railroaded anymore. We're gonna get our really, really cool, awesome caravan battle, which is one of the most memorable battles in these early modules. It's so memorable from the book. I absolutely love it. But the players are not going to feel like they've just been, pushed down this path where, okay, I won my battle, but now there's 100 Draconians. Come on, they're not going to feel that way. If they go up in the inn, Fizban is there. All right. So Fizban is not really mentioned in the originals here, but I really like him to be in that battle. If you remember from the book, he's trying to remember Fireball, and which in these close quarters is disastrous. In the battle I had, and we'll talk about the battle next video, the battle itself. But in my battle, he cast it. No one stopped him. And he made a mess of things, and it was hilarious, and it was so much fun, and it just added just an additional complication to this very, very cool battle. We're going to go into the details of that battle in the next video, but I would go ahead, and if they do go in the inn, to note Fizban is there in that way, just to let it be known that he's going to be around for this. So, long story short, I don't, I would have the 3rd edition copy. If the players do go to any of those other towns first, just to give them some flavor in those towns. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time prepping it because I don't think they're going there. Even if they're not from Solace, that's where they're going. Because that's where all of this this is where they actually know people, and so I think they're going there. But I would definitely give them options on how they're proceeding from there, and so that they're not railroaded down this one particular path. All right. So coming up next is that caravan video. We're coming really close to the time where I need to tell you why I put the Spellbook of Fistandantilus in Zaxxaroth. It is there in the 3rd edition version, but the reason I did it was very different from the way they did it. And we're coming close to where I'm going to tell you about what we did for the Test of High Sorcery, because that is if your character started at level 1, then we have kind of reached the point where they need to take the test. If you have a wizard in the party, and so those things are coming up next. I did do some maps from using Dungeon Scrawl. I'm starting to use Dungeon Scrawl for my maps for Dragonlance, and I went ahead and made some maps for all of the dungeons. I am putting those. I'm going to put those up on my Patreon page, which is patreon.com/technofunkboy. It's actually a Patreon page for everything that we do here, including music, our podcast, the Retro Station, and also Tales from the Rusty Speeder. There's a lot that you can get tuned into. If you're a Discord person, please do join our Discord. There's so much that we're working on, that we have going on. I'm gonna go ahead and throw those up on Patreon so that you can take a look at them. I will. The first ones I'll put up are going to be the Zach Sroth ones, and even though they're on Patreon, I'll put them as a free post. And so check the notes, or just go to patreon.com/technofunkboy, and you can have those maps. And for future maps, we'll probably put them in just for all of our patrons. But if you are running these games, that's something that you might check out, because those are very helpful, that you can put directly into Roll20, and they work out really, really nice. They look great, and using Dungeon Scrawl. And so go check those out, and we will catch you the next time.